it has to be so strong and so powerful that there's just no way that we're not going to do it.
Hi, my name is Pernilla, and this is my Challenge Your Norm podcast. I'm absolutely obsessed with anything related to personal development. And well, to grow, we got to challenge our norm. And so on this podcast, we chat about life and how we can challenge our normal way of living it to make it greater than we could have ever imagined. Just one little belief, habit, bold move, and challenge at a time.
Hello, my beautiful friend, and welcome back to another episode here on my Challenge Your Norm podcast, where in today's podcast episode, we're going to talk about 8 different hacks that you can use to stop procrastinating and actually take action on becoming this person that you want to be, on building this life that you deep down want to live, but potentially tend to procrastinate doing the things that actually are going to take you there. And I've written down these 8 hacks in my phone yesterday during my workout, as well as when they've popped up in my head since then. So they're going to be mentioned in a bit of a random order, but I find these very useful. And I don't do all of them all at once right now, but I do a lot of them and have done all of them at some point on my journey, and they have been very useful. And I'm going to start off with something that just becomes more and more clear to me the longer I live this life. And that is how important it is to be aware of when my brain is functioning at its best for different tasks. At the beginning of my fitness journey, I used to work out first thing in the morning because I knew that if I did that, it set me up for success for the rest of the day, because I would have crossed off this thing on my list that was so hard for me to do, but I did it, I nailed it, and for the rest of the day, I would feel so proud of myself. However, a little bit later on in my journey, when working out became just a natural part of my daily habit, I realized that first part of my morning really is when my brain is the most creative. It's functioning at its best. It's when I can really get into that flow. And even though I enjoyed working out in the morning, I eventually switched into performing the most hard tasks for the day during those first hours of me being awake, because that is when I would be producing the absolute best work. And today, this is what I do. I wake up, I do my morning routine, and once I've done my morning routine, I go straight into those most challenging, maybe editing tasks or just things that are mentally, brain wise, hard for me to do, because then I know I'm going to get it done, but I'm also going to get it done efficiently and in a better way than if I were to, for example, leave it for later in the day, because I will often, work for 8 hours from my wake up. Let's say I wake up at 4, I do my morning routine till 5, and then I work from 5 to 1 p.m. Very focused work. And then sometimes I'll tell myself, okay, you're going to go to the gym now, you're going to film some stuff, and when you come back, then you're going to do this task. The thing is that once I come home from the gym, during those later afternoon night hours, my brain sometimes just shuts completely off. And so the tasks that I had wanted to do during that time sometimes just don't get done because my brain no longer functions at its peak state. I can get certain things done during those hours, but I'm aware of what tasks don't require me to really use my brain during those hours of the day, because I know that that is a time where my brain just is not functioning as well. And I know many people, the afternoon is when they work best. Some people are night owls and their brain turns on at night. I just think it's so very important that we know when our brain is working at its best and then doing it, when that is. If, for example, someone listening is wanting to start a side hustle and they, like me, for example, work best in the morning hours instead of the night hours, but they keep telling themselves, okay, I'm going to do this after my own workday, after I've picked up the kids and made their dinner and gone to bed. That's when I'm going to work on my side hustle. If you know that your brain doesn't function well at night, then potentially you could Instead, go to bed when your kids go to bed, let's say, and then get up earlier instead of going to bed later. I get up at 4 a.m. in the morning, and people often are like, why? How is that possible? But really, the way I look at it is just like how when you switch time zones, when you go on vacation or you travel somewhere, you're just forced to adjust your hours in the day to match the new time zone. And I believe that we can do the same thing with our sleep schedule. So if you are someone who works best in the morning, then if you just switch around your sleep hours, maybe it will be more possible for you to manage to create the side hustle for yourself and switch out side hustle with anything that you want to do. Maybe you want to start working out and you keep telling yourself that you're going to do that after your workday. What if you set the alarm 1 hour earlier and you went to bed 1 hour earlier and shut off Netflix at night 1 hour earlier and made it happen first thing in the morning? Just that little mindset shift of just that little awareness of knowing when does your brain power allow you to do this thing that potentially requires a little bit extra effort for you? When is your brain at its peak state for you to be able to do that? And once you're clear on that, then you can create a new schedule for yourself, switch around some things. Maybe it's a little bit of an annoyance, but once you've done it, then you're actually going to be able to move yourself in this direction that you deep down want. And I think you deserve that. So get clear on when your brain is functioning at its best and see if that potentially could play a role in you not procrastinating the thing that you so deep down want to do. Second thing I've written on my list is like the obvious one, but we also know that it is probably the most essential, and that is committing to a goal. I think a lot of us walk around in this world knowing what it is that we want in life, but then we kind of just continue living the way that we want. We say, I'm going to start on Monday or I'm going to start tomorrow. And then we keep procrastinating it because we haven't actually committed and made a plan. And I think the best way to commit to a goal is to really connect to our why. I think the times in my life when I've really connected to an ambitious, challenging goal, it's been because I've gotten there's been something that has made me need to do it. It's no longer just a want, it's a need. Because when we need to completely change the way that we are currently living and doing things, doing our life, when we want to commit to a goal that's going to require of us to get outside of our comfort zone, do things that we're not used to, and show up for ourselves when it's really, really tough and we don't want to and we have no more energy left. There has to be something that is making us so committed to this new goal and just not allowing us to go back into our old habits. It has to be so strong and so powerful that there's just no way that we're not going to do it. And it potentially for you could look like connecting with your why, as in, why do I need to do this for myself? It could also be, why do I no longer want to live the way that I have been living? So the why could be looking at the future good, positive state that you want to experience, or it could also be looking back into how you have been currently living and why you no longer want to do that anymore. And I wrote on my list as well, so I'm going to jump straight to that one right now. Let's call this the third way of stopping procrastinating, which is combined with the committing to a goal, and that is sharing it with someone. There's just something about sharing it with the right person or the right people. And when I say the right person or people, I mean someone who isn't going to allow you to fall back into your old trap. It has to be someone who you know when they say they're going to do something, they actually do it. It could also be a group that you share this goal of yours with, or it could be posting it on social media. I know there's a mixed opinion as to whether or not you should share a goal before you've actually done it, but I think maybe you know yourself better than anyone and knows that if you share with the world, hey, I'm setting myself this goal and I'm going to do this. If you know with yourself that this is going to keep you accountable, potentially this could work for you. If you're someone who likes to grind in private, maybe this doesn't work for you. Maybe you need to share it with your partner or with a friend that you know is going to help you keep you accountable. And I know that a lot of us aren't privileged enough to have someone that we can share our personal development goals with, because maybe they aren't themselves pursuing something massive or crazy, but maybe you have a mentor, an old teacher, a grandparent, anyone that you can think of that if you share this goal with them, it would keep you accountable. Because if you gave them your word, fall back into your old habits or maybe give up. And something I've shared on this podcast before is also like, say, if you're a person that thrives when you have a consequence, you could say, hey, I'm going to send you $1,000 if I don't do this, or maybe even send them $1,000 and they can only send it back to you if you actually accomplish the thing. Or whatever amount of money or thing, car, I don't know what you would want to bet on to really make you do this. Because if we're in a life or death situation and it's like, I have to do it, then no excuses are going to get in the way of us actually doing it and committing. And I know we all work differently. So I hope one of the things that I shared potentially resonated with you. And if not, let's move on to the fourth way of stopping that procrastination, which is something I've also mentioned many times on this podcast, but something that is so powerful and that I literally have done every single day for I don't know how many years now, but it is the thing that literally is making me be able to execute so much on a daily basis. Because but not just execute so much, but also keep me from procrastinating or, let's say, checking social media or doing something that isn't in alignment with what the things were that I wanted to do in the day. And that is writing a to-do list. Every morning during my morning routine, I write a to-do list as to what are the most important tasks of the day that I need to get done. And I know that once I've checked those things off, then I can go do whatever else I want to do. And sometimes I don't finish the to-do list, but that's where I just got to be loving towards myself. If I've been given it my all and done the best I can, then I'll just move that task to the next day, because sometimes things take longer than I thought. Sometimes it take a little shorter as well, but it just helps stay productive throughout the day. And it just makes me not procrastinate, because I look at the list and I can see that there are things on this list that I gotta do. And with that, it leads me to the next thing, which is a weekly planner. That is something I started doing maybe a year ago, where I started writing down what are the things that I would like to be doing every day this week. And it can be little habits like I want to read 10 pages every day this week, or I want to stick to my healthy diet this week. I want to reach out to one person and share some gratitude that I have for them. It could be one thing or it could be 10 things. If you're someone who, likes to write all of it on there, like drink a gallon of water and eat my multivitamins or whatever you feel works for you. Or it could be I want to work out 5 days a week this week. And something that I want to share in regards to this is I was on a group call today with the March Transformation Challenge, and one of the girls has the same challenge as me, which is sometimes we have too many goals and we want to do too many things. And because we want to do all of the things, we tend to kind of lack within every area because we just aren't able to do all the things that we want to do. And something that I'm working on and that she's working on is focusing on just one habit a week sometimes is what is necessary. Because if we focus on 10 things that all require so much attention and so much time, then we will lack within all areas. Where if we just make one thing our main priority for that week and nail that, it will make us really make progress within that area, which also often compound effects in the other areas as well. And if that one thing is our main focus, then nailing that one thing typically also is what's going to impact us just making the most progress within everything in our life. And so just getting clear on how many things should I write on this weekly list so that it's actually good for me. And because there is this thing that if we put too much on there and then we kind of fall short on all of them, then we're potentially hard on ourselves. And if that happens, then we also just got to have love and compassion for ourselves and understand that, oh, wow, I just spread myself too thin. And I am just instead going to give myself love when it comes to working out this week, because my main focus for this week is going to be nutrition, so that we give ourselves love instead of being so hard on ourselves with all the things we aren't doing, focusing on the things that we are doing really, really well. Because I think that the more nicely we speak to ourselves, the better life gets in all areas. And talk about this March Transformation Challenge that I was on a group call with today. It has been such a beautiful experience getting to communicate and connect with these beautiful souls who were willing to join me on this challenge. And so much so that I've decided to do an April challenge, which it's the first time I've ever done 2 challenges in a row. But I just felt like this was so powerful, the way that these people have been taking charge in their life. I just want to keep that up for both them and anyone else who wants to join this April Transformation Challenge. And actually, I just edited a little like testimonial video. I'm thinking, why don't I put it in here before we finish the final 4 hacks to quit procrastination? Just a few words from previous challengers who've had a good experience joining the challenge.
I'm calling to tell you you've changed my life.
I got so much support from Pernilla and also just the community.
I've lost 8 pounds. I'm super excited.
I'm super appreciative and grateful, especially for the nutrition aspect. I've been really digging the recipes and the books that you have for so many different things to make.
All the group that we had, the Zoom chats, her support, recipes, everything is so important. But most importantly is the morning routine and journaling sessions and meditations.
Until you make that decision to take the step, you're not going to take the step. And she somehow has amplified that voice in my ear to take the step.
Meditation really helped me to relax and get more quiet in my head.
I think the challenge and keeping on track with everybody and having that like accountability in the back of my head has been.
I think I had a limiting mindset of like, once you're a mom, you just have like a mom body. Can't really get back pre-mom body. So I'm super grateful that I found your challenge so that I could actually step into, no, you could do better. And here's your goal. And like when you have a goal that you want to ascertain, it's so much easier versus just like going to the gym to go to the gym.
I can't even enumerate how badass I feel because I do these workouts.
Challenge, I'm not physically fit to do the exercises the way you do it, but the way you are expressing to find our own way to actually do it, that would not have been imaginable in December.
Awesome program. It's not only making myself feel physically great, but just mentally feel like the most healthy in my life.
It's been and continues to be amazing. So thank you.
Thank you so much for creating such a safe space to be able to kind of go through some of those harder bits of this journey.
It's such a huge difference to have her by your side guiding you and have this real structure.
And achieving just to be my best self, so I really highly recommend anyone who wants to feel better, not just physically, but mentally, to join.
I'm so grateful that I found her and that I took that chance to enter the challenge.
It's been amazing and continues to be amazing. You've just set such awesome foundations for us to then empower ourselves. Anyway, I'm good.
You're never too old to do this.
Thank you, Pernilla. You're awesome.
I hope that you guys enjoyed listening to that. I can't believe how lucky I am to have gotten to spend time with those beautiful individuals. And I would love to have you join my April Transformation Challenge as well. If you'd like to, then I'll put the link in the show notes or in the description, depending on where you're watching this podcast. I would so love to have you. And you can bring a friend as well if you want to do it with someone. But we got more procrastination hacks to do. So the next one is writing a proudness list at night. And what that is basically just when you put your head on the pillow at night, you grab a journal that is on your bedside table and you write down 3 things that you're grateful for, proud of yourself for, that happened on that day. And the beautiful thing about doing an exercise like this right before you go to bed is not just because your subconscious is going to reflect on that all night, but also because throughout the day, you're going to pay more attention to these things that you're doing that make you feel proud of yourself, that you're grateful for. But also, when you write that before you go to bed, the following day, you're reminded of how good it felt when you wrote that list before you fell asleep, that you're going to want to do more things on that following day that's going to make you feel really good and really proud within. And so it's just this beautiful cycle of continuing to want to do things that make you feel proud. And when you want to do things that make you feel proud, you're not going to want to procrastinate. You're going to want to keep going, keep doing the things that you know is going to make you feel good long term, but also is going to make you make progress and move towards those goals and dreams of yours that you so much deserve to make happen. The sixth thing that I find very useful, that one of the girls in the little testimonial video that you just listened to also shared, was how meditation can really make you feel such a sense of peace and calm and quietness of all those wandering thoughts that you have throughout the day. It's something I've experienced, and I know millions of others around the world have experienced. And I believe that that can allow us to stop procrastinating because we're more clear headed. If we spend a few moments in the morning or whenever works best for you to just quiet the mind and focus on your breath, which is also something I guide you through in the morning routine journey of the challenge. If we just take those moments to focus on our breath and calm our mind, it really does affect the rest of our day. And it really does allow us to have this more clear state of mind, which will lead to less procrastination because we're more clear on where it is that we want to go, what is the best action that I can take in this moment, and aware that scrolling on Netflix or on our phone or wherever it is that we're numbing our mind, that isn't actually going to lead us where we really want to go. Not to say that you don't need days like that. Sometimes we all need days where we relax and just let our minds just blah. But for the most part, I'm sure most of us want to do things that are going to benefit us long term. So meditation kind of led us into the next one, which is removing social media apps on your phone, or do what I've done. I used to have Instagram, for example, on my front page on my phone. So when I swiped up, it would be right there. What I did was I removed that Instagram icon 2 pages over. So now when I swipe up my phone, the first thing is not seeing Instagram and just naturally clicking on Instagram. If I want to go on Instagram now, I have to actually make it an effort. So if I have to post or if I just want to, go on Instagram to message or whatever I want to do on there, then I have to actually think the thought and intentionally go to Instagram because it's not right there in front of my face. TikTok has never been a thing that I've never scrolled on TikTok. So that's not really been a challenge of mine, but I know other people who've been obsessed with TikTok. They've actually deleted the app because it just became too much. And I did want to share that because I don't know if maybe that's a place you're in where you've just been spending way too many hours on TikTok and you're like, this is not adding value to my life. Let me just cancel it. Let me just quit it. No more TikTok for a full month or however long. I've also in the past been in seasons where I've watched a lot of YouTube also to learn, but it's at some point I was just watching a lot of it and I had to be like, okay, Pernilla, this next month or week or however long I'd set it, the rule for myself, I was like, you have to not watch any YouTube. It's not allowed. Instead, you read. And so just thinking to yourself, if you've been using one of those social media platforms as a procrastination tool, highly recommend you do something about it. And once again, it's kind of going back to this setting a goal and making it happen. It's like reminding yourself of why do you need to do this? Because your brain is not going to want to do it, right? Your brain is going to want to stay comfortable and scroll. But Why do you need to do it? Is it because this dream of yours literally is not going to come to life if you keep procrastinating it with the Netflix or the scrolling or whatever it is that you're doing to avoid the actual doing of making it happen? And the final and last tip that I want to share is whatever thing you're avoiding doing, the thing that maybe you've been procrastinating for a week, a month, potentially years, do it first thing in the morning. Maybe that means making a rule for yourself. I cannot drink my morning coffee before I've completed this task. Or I cannot look at my phone until I've completed this task. And this task could be, working 30 minutes on this side hustle that I was talking about earlier, or doing the workout that I also was talking about, how that is something I did first thing in the morning to make sure that I would do it in the beginning. Whatever that thing is for you that you keep procrastinating, but deep down you need to do. I often know what I need to do, but something has to click within me to actually do it, to actually make it happen. And sometimes I have to force myself to make that click happen. And again, going back to the why, sometimes it's reminding myself of how I don't want to feel miserable in the way in this area of my life that I've been feeling miserable. I no longer want to feel that way. For me, it's been when I started doing what I do for work right now. For the first many years, I would isolate myself. I am an introvert, but I'm also a little bit of I get very passionate about my projects. And so I would isolate myself so that I could just work nonstop on all the things that I wanted to create and do and be. So I would isolate myself. But then at one point, I got to the point where I was like, Pernilla, you're such a loner. Get yourself back to a social life, which I've had a social life my whole life. So it was like when I started doing what I do now that I really started isolating myself, which was also because I didn't feel like the people around me were as like-minded anymore. So it was hard for me to be with them because it was a little bit draining because I felt like I was trying to be there for it. It was just, I needed to develop new friendships, and I had to sit down with myself and be like, Pernilla, you're either going to continue this pattern you've been doing, or you're going to get uncomfortable and go out and develop a social life for yourself again. And that is what I did. And it took me about, little by little, a year, let's say, since I got the awareness that I needed to create a social life. No, 6 months. And then me starting to go to events and sign up for different things and go alone to stuff so that I would meet like-minded people. I have podcasts on this as well, on how to develop like-minded friendships. So you can go back and listen to that if you like. But this reminding myself of how I don't want to be a loner anymore. I want friendships. I want to have fun and not just work all the time. So that was something that made me commit. But it could also be, again, going back to the working out, the why when I really got in shape was I don't want to keep letting myself down anymore. I really want to get in badass shape. And so I just full committed. And you have to be that committed with anything, because if you allow yourself to get off the hook, you're going to go back to your old habits and patterns and procrastinating the thing that you deep down want. And you deserve more than that. You're capable of more than that. And you and we both know it. So I hope that one of these 8 procrastination quitting hacks sparked something within you, because you deserve to freaking kill it in this life. You have one life, and the best time to start is now. So hopefully you're going to apply one of these things. And if you want to do this with me throughout April, I would absolutely love to have you join my April Transformation Challenge with workouts, nutrition guidance, a journaling challenge that's going to really help reprogram that brain of yours. There's a morning routine that you're going to develop according to your preferences and lifestyle, weekly calls, daily motivation and encouragement in the group. And I would love to have you if you want to level up with me in April. Again, the link is below. And if you like this podcast, please share it with a friend and go out there today and challenge your norm. If you catch yourself procrastinating, that's okay, because right then and there, you can choose a different action to take, an action that's actually going to lead you towards the life that you deep down want to live because you deserve it. Thank you so much for listening. And as always, remember that in order for you to grow, you have to challenge your norm.